Hey everybody, the Freelancer and Barry back again, doing another showcase for you guys. This time I got a request from NC Saster to take a look at Super Mario Bros. 3 for the original Nintendo. This one was a little bit difficult for me, and only slightly, because of course, as many of you know, I didn't have a Nintendo when I was a kid. So I actually wasn't exposed to Mario 3 until you rolled around to the Super Mario All-Stars on the Super Nintendo. So that's the version that I knew the best. And really, in the end, it was mostly just a new coat of paint they put to the game. But there were some other subtle differences that you probably wouldn't have noticed unless you knew the game in and out, or at least a good portion of it. Items were moved around in certain sections. They removed blocks where they originally were, or added blocks when there weren't any. Different things like that. Again, minor stuff, but, still stuck out to me. However, the other problem is that there's not a lot that I can say about this game. I mean, I'll put it this way. He himself will freely admit that, and I'm referring to NC State, sir, he'll freely admit that he's really not much of a gamer. Yet, he requested this. And there's one reason for that. And this coming from a dyed-in-the-wool, Sonic and Sega fan. This is the greatest platforming game ever created. Yeah, I just said it. This actually trumps the Sonic the Hedgehog games. I hate saying it. I hate admitting to it. But it is better. I mean, it really, I guess that you could argue that it boils down to preference. You could also say that this was the third one in the series, so they finally, gotten their act together, especially after that. I'm sorry, I personally don't care for Mario 2. And one could argue that when they rolled around to Sonic 3, I mean, look at what they did. I really did a terrible job presenting it. But, I mean, there was just so much going on in that game. But that was almost to the point of overwhelming. They crammed so much in. This one, it felt just right. You could either speed your way through the zones, which weren't very big, but within those zones, there were a lot of little hidden things, hidden areas and, pipes and different things like that, where you could acquire more coins, hence, adding more lives once you got 100 of them, etc., etc. It was just phenomenally made. Sonic the Hedgehog, they didn't really get around to doing stuff like that until Sonic 3. There were elements of it, there were some of it in Sonic 2, but it really didn't feel like they made exploration an important part of the game until, well, actually you could say Sonic CD, really. But as far as the main series, it wasn't until Sonic 3 that you really felt like they finally had come to the standard that Super Mario 3 set. So again, I hate saying it, but this really is the greatest platforming game of all time. And I'm not the only one who says that. I mean, you can look at numerous sales charts from back in the era, and even now, when magazines and websites do lists of the top 25 or top 10 games from the Nintendo or Nintendo platformers, of which there were several for the system, Mario 3 consistently is in the top 5, really the top 3, and generally speaking tends to be the number one game. It usually comes down between this and Kirby. And I think sometimes they put Mario 3 lower on the scale just because they know that people are expecting it to be at the top of the list. But, you got to give credit where credit's due. This is the top of the list. But I think it's better to just go ahead and show you guys. Now, I only played through the first zone, so, but it's a good length. And I tried to go through almost everything. One issue though, again, just like the Sonic ones, I did have to use an emulator for the footage, so it looks like playing Mario when you're on a sugar high, which as a kid was a very, very, likely thing to happen. Still, as I stated before, it's the only way I can get the footage. So enjoy the first world in Super Mario Bros. 3. Super Mario Bros. 3. There's nothing, virtually nothing that I can say about this game that hasn't already been said, like I told you in the intro. It's the key quintessential classic. Most people's childhoods hinge upon this game. Most people became gamers either because of this game or its predecessor, the original Super Mario Bros. I don't think within a series, I don't think any games have been as really life-changing as those two games. Now, as you can see from the footage, like I said earlier, I hate admitting to it, I did have to use an emulator for this one. Though, once and again, as I stated during Sonic Week, this is a prime example of why emulators are bad, kids. You just can't get the full experience that you got when you played it on the console. It's just not as good. Things are going to be glitchy, things are going to be buggy. So if you really want to enjoy this game to its fullest possible extent, which is a game that you need to enjoy to its fullest possible extent, you've got to play the original. Flat out, plain and simple. It's the best emulation you'll find of it is on the Virtual Console. Now, as I stated, I didn't play this game until it was on the Super Nintendo. And the visuals, you can tell. It's night and day between the two of them. I don't have the footage to show from that, and quite frankly, I don't really want to. But it was a little bit jarring, actually, going back and playing this version versus its Super Nintendo counterpart, just because I got so used to how nice the visuals were. But I can only imagine. It must have been a real stunner to people who had played this version, and then when it came around to the Super Nintendo, everything in the game finally looked like what the box art and everything had shown Mario and the princess and Bowser. They finally looked like all the artwork and all the advertisements and promotionals that we had seen. Here you see Mario, he's actually wearing black and red. It's hard to imagine him not wearing blue overalls, but there it is. You're looking right at it. In the updated version, he is wearing the blue and the red that you got so used to. Of course, he would be wearing the blue and the red when you went to little houses and so forth. But, honestly, looking at this, the colors just look so muted and so, drab. But, at the time, I can only imagine, a lot of people must have been really shocked looking at this game because it just looks so much better than its predecessor. Either one of its predecessors. So, again, that really comes down to aesthetics. And it's not what makes Mario great to begin with. What makes Mario great is the platforming, the tight, unbelievably tight controls. You had absolutely perfect control of Mario. Anytime you fell off a platform or anytime you missed a jump and missed the timing, you only had yourself to blame. You could not proclaim that, well, the controls are broken or messed up. It was always you. It was always you. That right there, you just saw, I was able to get 3 stars in a row. It was a trick I realized some time ago in the original, or when I originally played it on the Super Nintendo, was that if you get into a deadhead run and sustain it for a little while and then jump, within a certain, there's a certain number of seconds, and I've never actually figured out that number, you'll jump right into the end post there and get the star. And it works 90% of the time. But not always. Those, on the other hand, I never have figured out a trick for them. There's another trick I'll let you guys in on as soon as we see it. But here, I mean, this. When Mario gets the fire flower, he turns orange and red, like he's just been bathing himself in tomato juice or something. He's been bathing in tomato juice and eating a whole lot of carrots. I mean, that's what he looks like. Whereas in the remake, you know, he actually has the white and the red that, again, we got used to in the promotional art. I know I keep going through that, but I really can't help but pull myself out of it just because that was the version I got used to. But believe me, I keep saying things about it, but that by no means diminishes this version of the game. I mean, this is what people remember. Like I said already, this is people's childhood right here. People, kids across the country and really across the globe wasted countless hours and hours and hours playing this game, finding all the secrets, finding the extra zones and worlds and things. And even though Super Mario World would later come along and, up the ante by about 20 times, I really don't think it was actually able to fully surpass Super Mario 3. I mean, I'm sure there are arguments to the contrary on that, but of the two, I do feel that Mario 3 is the better game. But then again, like I said already, this game borders on perfect. I mean, it borders on being the perfect video game. For its time, it utilized the color palette magnificently. Oh, here's the other little trick I was going to tell you all about. It doesn't work fantastically, but if you look down the bottom right-hand side, the last 3 cards are always a mushroom, a fire flower, and a star. No matter how many times it gets reset, those 3 cards will always be the same. Now, of course, it still depends on what card you flip over first, but always keep in mind about those 3. Mushroom, fire flower, and star are always there. So, if you get one of those 3, you at least are guaranteed one of the items. Though it's still random with the rest of them. Anyhow. But, as I was saying, the game just got so much right. I mean, I really wish there was more that I could say, and there isn't. There's virtually nothing. Everything that's ever been said about this game, anytime you've ever heard anyone say how amazing a game it is, it's all true. Every bit of it is true. And, I mean, I'm a diehard Sega fan. I'm a diehard Sonic fan. I would much rather see with the whole Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games they've been putting out, I would just as soon watch Sonic stick a ski up Mario's ass before I would actually see them high-fiving and having fun on the slopes. But those days are over, of course. And you just have to face facts that, the better of the 2 platform mascots is still one, really. I mean, Sonic's still around, but the glory days are long over. And Mario is still consistently having great games put out for him, and that constantly meet with critical acclaim, and for good reason. They absolutely deserve it. And this game absolutely deserves it. So, like I say, there's virtually nothing that I can add to this, except to finish out the boss zone here. I never did learn all the names of the Koopa Kids. I never really cared to learn all the names of the Koopa Kids. I think the first one here is Iggy, I think. And that's about all I know. I mean, again, I'm not a diehard Mario fan. That's why it's so funny to listen to myself say how good this game is. Because believe me, that old 90s child in me wants to go, Mario sucks! But it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And I also feel like I'm being completely redundant in saying it just because so many people have said how great it is. But again, I'm one of those people that there's a reason why these games, like Mario, like Sonic, like Mega Man, Castlevania, etc., become classics, are hailed as absolute classics among video games. And the reason being, they got it right. They deserve that reputation because they did exactly what they needed to do, and that was provide an amazing, fun experience that nobody had ever had before. Mario 3 provided that, and everything else along with it. Oh, and for those people that debate was, Princess Toadstool a redhead or a blonde, well, if you look right there, she had pink hair, so now what are you going to do? That throws a monkey wrench in your argument, doesn't it? Anyhow, this is the Desert Zone. I didn't go much farther in this one, and to be perfectly frank, it's not my favorite zone anyway. But I hope this has been satisfactory, and like I say, I can't add any more to it. Let's kill a little bastard. Ha 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 ha. So again, a big thank you to NC Statester for requesting this game. I mean, I know I can't say any more than already the innumerable praise that it's been given, but I have to go truth is truth, I hate saying it, but the truth is the truth. And it's an easy game to come across. If you have a Nintendo, this thing goes for practically dirt cheap because every kid had this game. So there are tons of these floating around. Probably the only ones that there are more of are the original Super Mario / Duck Hunt cartridges. But it's easy to find like this. If you don't want to do that, you can download it off the Wii's Virtual Console. In fact, it's one of the only 2 games I have from the Virtual Console. Though, to be fair, those were actually put on there by a buddy of mine before I bought this system off him. It's a long story. Actually, my sister bought it off of him, and then either way, long story. Point is that Mario 3 and the original Final Fantasy are the only 2 games I have from Virtual Console at this point because I've got really essentially no real internet connection. If you don't want to do that, say hi to the cat. And after you say hi to the cat, you can also get it on the Super Mario All-Stars collection for the Super Nintendo. It's a great way to go. You get the original Mario, Mario 2, Mario 3, and Mario Lost Levels, and all of them have been updated to 16-bit visuals, and it's an absolute stunner to look at. And if you don't want to go this route because you don't actually have a Nintendo, you can go the Wii route, again, just like the Virtual Console, except this time you can hunt down the Super Mario All-Stars disc that they put out last year. Now, that one you might have a little bit of trouble with because it was released in a limited run. They did release it twice, but it was still limited even in the second run. Though, to be honest, don't pay any more than the $30 asking price. The retail price on it was $30. If you pay any more than that, you're severely getting ripped off because all it is a disc with this game crammed on it. That's it. They may as well have put this game in that box. So, proceed at your own risk on that one. I personally would try and hunt down this one if you've got the Super Nintendo, or hunt down this if you've got the original. This one looks better. This one's the classic. Take your pick. Anyhow, so again, NC Statester, thank you for the request. If anybody else wants me to take a look at anything, feel free to let me know. I'll catch you all later. It's Barry. See ya.